What is good, and welcome to the Bronze video. We're going to be talking about Bronze League here. I'm going to be showing you the 15 YAS expand that's kind of formatted for you at the Bronze level. And it's the same build I've taught earlier, but we're just overlooking the upgrades. We're going to skip eBays altogether unless we need to get them to get a turret or something like that. But we're just going to focus on getting our Marines out, getting our SCVs rolling, and moving on from there. Here's a cool quick tip for you. When you see the Reaper coming out, position your Marines on the high ground. The worst case scenario, you may lose your SCV building the command center on the low ground, which I do in this game. But you will have successfully defended the Reaper. The Reaper can be a big pain in the butt if you don't take this precaution by positioning your Marines on the high ground. If you don't do that, one Reaper in your base can sort of ravage a lot of SCVs really quickly. So I just finished playing about 10 games in Bronze, and I have 5 or 6 of those games that I'll be uploading to my second channel, so you guys can watch that with commentary, with some analysis, and it'll be pretty much very similar, I imagine, to what you guys are encountering on the ladder, which Bronze hasn't changed. Let me just start off with this. Bronze is really weird. Bronze is a weird place for all StarCraft players because virtually no one follows the meta, and all the timings are totally wrong. So even when I go in there and I play, I'll see some scouting information and be like, what are you doing? Like, there was a Protoss game in there where he went for a proxy robo sentry all in, and sentry immortal all in, and it was just so weird. I just never see that anymore. Like, the more you play StarCraft and the higher up the divisions you'll get, the more the game actually starts looking like the meta, and the meta is what, like, would be considered the bare bones, cliche, stereotypical game path for each of the matchups. So, like, Terran versus Zerg. The standard is 3 command center versus Ling, Bane, Muta. Like, it's very simple, and you see it all the time, right? And you don't have that in Bronze, you guys. Bronze is so weird. There's just so much weirdness. But what we're going to focus on by me teaching you this build are SCVs and winning by outproducing our enemy. This build is very good in the fact that it rewards you if you practice and if you macro well. If you continuously build SCVs and continuously pump out Marines, you will have an enormous army come like 10, 11 minutes, or at least a big enough army to surprise your opponents. It's not going to be something that's going to win you games automatically. Like, this will require practice, and it is interesting to note, and I didn't explain this in the first video, but each of the races has their own personality, and this was a huge mistake in this game. I could have won if I just would have taken out the command center on the low ground, but I got arrogant and tried to take out 2 siege tanks with upgrades on the high ground. Didn't work, but those Marines died for their country proud. They did well. So, as the Terran army, we're very glass cannon-like, and it took a long time for me to figure this out or to even hear it, but it's a pretty common thing to hear amongst Terran players. Our army is like a glass cannon. We're extremely powerful, but if the enemy does kill your entire army, it's very hard to rebuild that army as quickly as a Protoss or a Zerg. The warp-in mechanic for Protoss means that they can resupply much faster, and same thing with Zerg. That's going to make, like, some lower-level Zergs and Protoss people like, oh my gosh, you're so stupid, Dragoon. You guys have barracks. No, we produce much slower than the other races. But we do get the ability to have mules. Mules are incredible. Like, mules and scans are incredible things that we get to have as Terran. So in Bronze, you want to be focused on not losing that army. The longer you can hold on to that army, the better. And you're going to end up probably throwing some fights away. I think it's inevitable. And you have to lose fights to learn what you can take and what you can't take. I'm still learning to this day, like, look at that army. I think I can beat it. Stims Marines into tank line and dies, and I lose the game, all because I made a bad call concerning what I thought I could take out versus what I actually could take out. It's important to realize this because you shouldn't be frustrated with yourself if you lose your army in some sort of battle. In Bronze, you're a newer player, and you just like have to experiment and watch StarCraft and play the game and take fights to realize what kind of engagements you can win and what kind of engagements you can't win. Most of this game is knowledge, knowing I can win the game right now. I could have won this game probably 5 or 10 minutes ago, but I threw it away a little bit, or at least I delayed it. So we had to regroup our army and go forth. Let's check out the build. What's good, everybody? GLHF, the computer. This is the build order for the 15 gas expand, the bronze level build, basically. So what I do when the game starts is, obviously, we start SCV production. That's what we want to keep totally constant through this entire thing. I take an SCV and I put them on hotkey 3, hotkey 2, and so now I have my CC on hotkeys 4 and 5, and I've got 2 SCVs on hotkeys, which is really good for me. I'm going to set the rally down to the wall and set a camera location at the wall and start another SCV. I'm going to try and like spam less in the early game to show you what I'm doing. Build a depot at the wall. This is like the most standard Terran opening can get. I put a camera location here so that if I want to look at my natural, I can hit F3 and I jump right there. And then I have a camera here and a camera here. All pretty simple. Continuing SCV production. SCVs, that's our goal in this build. If you can continuously build them, congratulations, you are kicking butt. That's really what will get you out of bronze is production. Keep building SCVs. One thing that I will do is I'll take my SCV, shift click him down to scout, so I at least can get an idea of what's going on, and then just come back and build another SCV. You can do all that in that period of time, like SCV that's building, set him up down there. We're at 14 supplies, so we're going to send this next worker to build our gas. It's very easy. You just set the rally there. And then ZW is refinery when you're playing on the grid hotkey setup. Make sure you have the barracks on a hotkey. Everything needs to be hotkeyed, like everything. We start a marine, and then we set the rally of the CC to finish our wall off. 2 guys into the gas right as it's about to finish. And then we start an orbital command, which is the R button on grid. Tell him to build a depot, this guy at the wall, set up another marine, but then I clicked for this guy to come down to the natural, because the one who's building the depot right here, this guy, he's going to build our expansion. Put the marine on a hotkey, I put him on hotkey number 1, can fix the rally point of the CC, and then when it finishes, we drop a mule and build an SCV. Really easy. And start a refinery on your barracks after the second marine pops. Now's the time when we can look at our scout. La 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 la. He's chronoing the warp gate. Well, we'll talk about scouting stuff right now. Essentially, we're just looking for one base play. Start your expansion on the low ground and start an SCV. You can add the CC to your hotkey by shift clicking it and hitting Control 4. It's really helpful to have both of them on the same hotkey. Build a barracks, and then build a supply depot. Put that barracks also on the same hotkey. Build another SCV, and then build 2 marines. Super smooth, right? Super smooth, you guys. It all lines up. We're now looking at trying to get into another barracks, so build an SCV, and bring this guy down to build that next barracks. If you get in the habit of shift clicking your SCVs that are building stuff back to your minerals, so you don't have to manually click them each time. Drop a mule in your main base. I wanted to drop it in the low ground. 2 more marines should be built. Add those new guys to your hotkeys. And then highlight 6 SCVs. Put them on a hotkey if you like, but right click the mineral patch at the natural and hit the S key. What that does is it returns minerals. Start an orbital at your natural, by the way, as soon as that finishes. By hitting the S key on grid, that returns the minerals in the hands of the workers. So I know you guys have seen, like, as the worker is coming back, he's got a mineral in his hand. If you hit the S key, he will return it before going to the next place, which is good, because we like money, right? Yeah. Now's when the build gets pretty cool. We kept building SCVs and Marines during this period, but as soon as this next Marine finishes, we're going to build a tech lab and a barracks, excuse me, a tech lab and a reactor on our barracks. And then from here, we're going to add 2 depots. Pretty simple. Keep the SCV production going. and keep the marine production going. This will feel a little bit weird if you're used to the 15 gas expand, as this is the time we would normally put down our upgrades. Get stim pack as soon as the tech lab finishes, and then get a factory, which is pretty good. Pretty good. Add another depot as soon as that guy finishes. Keep building SCVs and marines. So this gives us more leniency by not going for the upgrades. By going for faster factory tech, we're going to be getting more medevacs sooner. Another depot. And at this point, depots, you guys, are just going to be something you're going to need to pretty much continuously have 1 or 2 building. Just because we're going to be pumping enough units out of our barracks to supply it. So we're going to get 2 gases, bringing us up to a total of 3 gases. And we're just building marines, building depots. And then as soon as the factory finishes, we're going to put a reactor down and then build a starport. This is pretty standard Terran play. I know it might look pretty quick, but you'll see this out of like 95% of Terran games. This is a standard Terran building group. You have 3 barracks, factory, and starport. That gives us a lot of room to just build and build units that we like. Notice we're floating a bit more minerals. This allows us to be flexible, especially in Bronze League if we're uncomfortable and need to throw down bunkers for defense, or say we need to get tanks on the way. It gives us room. When the factory finishes, swap the starport. I think the AI is attacking. Yeah, I did like speed zealots. It's funny. Start 2 medevacs and keep dropping mules and keep building stuff. And you'll see this plays out a little bit smoother than the one with upgrades, because we're not technically going to be as strong as we will be in the silver and gold version of the build. But for bronze, oh my gosh, this just... It does work, you guys. So at this point, we're going to get 2 more barracks, bringing us up to a total of 5. And we're going to build 2 more medevacs. As soon as we reach 4 medevacs, we are going to take map control and push out on the map. We're still building depots. We add those guys to the new barracks to the hotkey, and then we get combat shield. After we get combat shield, you don't really need to worry about a 4th gas in this build unless you really want to. But buy a new CC, a 3rd command center. So now we have all our medevacs. We can keep building stuff. We have 5 barracks. Look at this, like, beautiful army that we get to push out on the map with. Now we're just going to go push out on the map, and by this I mean we're going to go take control of the watchtowers. Here's a cool trick, by the way. I'm going to attack with my whole army, take the watchtower, but if I shift click and hit one of the marines, and then control key number 1, I essentially just told all those guys, go here, then removed one of those guys from this hotkey, and now he's going to go take the tower for me. It's a really cool and easy way to take towers that doesn't involve you taking your entire, like, army hotkey down there. So I think it's pretty cool. So at this point, guys, it's your goal to just keep producing and keep making supply depots. That's it. This is like a really simplified version of the build, and like it will let you pump out a ton of stuff. Just a ton of stuff. And it's an easy AI, so we'd fight here, we'd you know, take battle. If we could win the game, we would, but for right now, we're just gonna pretend not, because we will wipe the floor with the computer in this. Start an orbital when your 3rd finishes, and just keep pumping out marines and medevacs. And at this rate, you're gonna be able to just... It goes so fast. After you've like sort of gotten enough minerals up, you're gonna add 4 more barracks, and this brings us up to a total of 9. And this is always our goal with this build, is to arrive at 9 barracks. If you're on 9 barracks, then eventually we're gonna be on more. If you're on 9 barracks, you have stability. You have the ability to lose an army in a bad fight or so, and not have to worry about it. At this point in the build, we're pretty much done building SCVs. We want to be at about 65 SCVs. In bronze, I'd probably just encourage you to keep building SCVs. There's not like a huge punishment in this league for like, oh, you didn't have that extra 5 army supply to kill the super late game Protoss. You're not going to run into those kind of situations very much. And you can max out much faster than I was doing in this one. I was just like talking you guys through it. But this build can like be played out much quicker. But it's super standard, man. Super standard way to get like a ton of units just really, really quickly. Sometimes I do that, but I don't want to have you want to have reactors on them. That's like pretty self-explanatory. And when your third base goes down, drop the mules, and we grab that many SCVs from that base, and that many from that base, and we send them over here to this base to mine. From here, you guys, look how much money we have just floating in the air. So you could be like, I want to build way more barracks because I'm gonna end the game. Like, just look at this. We're not even 15 minutes in. We've got a max army. Look how many like barracks I could put down. I could be putting down more bases. Like, it's a very flexible, strong build. Okay, cool. It would not be the Bronze League video if I didn't talk about stopping one base play. Alright, so bronze is weird. Most everybody in here does one base play. Why? Because it's a lot easier. It's hard to expand, guys. The way I'm teaching you to play and like the standard macro way of play is difficult, but it's rewarding because it actually is teaching you how to play StarCraft. Whereas if you just wanted to learn a good one base play, there's tons of them out there, and you could be a cheeser if you like, but that's not really StarCraft, like, in my mind. It's part of it, like learning how to stop pressure and learning how to handle these kind of... This is a 4-gate, by the way. This is a bronze level match. You guys can watch this entire game in full on my second channel. It's one of the demonstration games. Like I said, I did go into bronze and recorded these matches, and I'll do the same with silver and gold, and I will talk through them. The demonstration games, I literally am talking through why did I get the bunker at this time, and why he did this, and what next? How do we shift the build? You're going to have a really frustrating time if you think that by executing the build I just showed you, like, perfectly, if you do it exactly how I say, you're going to get a 100% win rate, because that's not how StarCraft works. The build is your backbone. I want you to think about that. It's your backbone. It's what you're trying to accomplish no matter what. It is your mission to get done with this build what you started to do. But you have to make modifications in case he's putting on early aggression or pressure. Because our goal with this build is to get to what? About 11 minutes where we have 4 medevacs and a big army, and that's when the power of this build truly shines. If we can get to that point, we're going to be almost unstoppable. But the difficulty, especially in bronze, is getting to that point, right? There's going to be a lot of one-base play. There's going to be a lot of people throwing difficult cheeses at you, and if you don't know what to look for, and if you don't know how to react, you're going to definitely lose a few games, and you'll want to say what I've seen a few people comment on, this build is bad against X build. It's not. This build can literally stop 98% of all the one-base play in the world somebody could throw at you in bronze, silver, and gold. Like, legitimately, this thing can stop it all. But what it requires from you is practice, patience, and you really can't get frustrated with yourself when you lose to something like a DT drop or some sort of Reaper all-in that you don't know how to defend. Or let's say he did a Roach Bane bust or a Ling Bane bust. Those kind of things and learning how to defend them takes time. It takes time, you guys. Like, I'm still learning how to defend cheese. Like, I play against Diamond players. Diamond League is notorious for having really strong one-base play because the people at that end of the game take it seriously and have decent micro and very sharp timing. So if the same concept applies up in Diamond, it very much applies down here in Bronze. This build is a very safe build, but you have to modify it. In this case, in this game, he went for a 4-gate, and I knew that he was going for a 4-gate, and I explained that in the demonstration game. We were given all the scouting information we needed. The giant road marker for us was the fact that he hadn't expanded. If he's not expanding 5-6 minutes into the game, this is a huge clue to you that he's spending all his money on army and that a big push is coming. So how do I need to adapt? Well, 95% of the time it involves getting bunkers. Bunkers, as a Terran player, are your best friend for stopping cheese and one-base aggression. Mind you, it won't stop everything. Like, you're still going to have to worry about if he's doing oracles. A bunker's probably not going to help you very much there. Getting a wall off is very important in TVZ. But these are all things that you're going to have to learn from watching demonstration games. I can tell you guys the way that I best learned was watching Filter StarCraft use his build in his demonstration games and just seeing how different the build would play out. Not in terms of the backbone. The backbone's always the same. We're still going for the same building groups that we always were. Notice he had DTs here. I was totally unprepared for the DTs. I don't have turrets, and I'm waiting for scans. Quick tip, notice he's trying to get the DT into the main base. We have to raise the depot as quickly as we can, and by doing that, we're able to consolidate all the DTs in one little spot, get our scan down, kill him. And at this point, we're so far ahead economically, and this guy knew it, that he GG's out, because his 4-gate didn't work, and then his follow-up pressure did not work as well. This next game is also from Bronze. Basically, the format for this series will be at the intro, I'll show you a Platinum game of me using the build in Platinum, then the build order, and then from there, I will show you a few clips from the Bronze demonstration games. Here, again, is another early pressure. This is a 1-base all-in from the Terran. It's a really good 1-base all-in, too. I've done it quite a bit. I blunder the micro here, and I don't get a bunker down, which is bad news. But this build is still strong enough that we can overcome that and beat it. And I think the demonstration games will show you guys, okay, wow. So there is a lot of 1-base play in Bronze, but it's totally stoppable with this build. But you need to see it done. You need to see how it's done. Like, throwing SCVs away like this is a complete last-ditch resort. We don't want to have to do that. But if it keeps us alive long enough, and we will have more production than he does, like the ability to get more SCVs back out on the field, more mules back out on the field than he does, then heck yeah, we're totally going to hold this off and end up winning this game. But it's really hard to figure that out, right? And scouting. Scouting's the other thing. Like, in Bronze, you're not going to have a clue what you're looking for. I will try and talk through in the demonstration games what to look for in each matchup. It's too specific for me to just do a broad overview right here. But a lot of that comes from watching the demonstration games, watching streamers, and then watching pro games. That's really important. Like, WCS, amazing games. I know we're coming to the end of the season, but watching Pro StarCraft or watching Twitch, super duper important. As I get a text message, it'll help you a lot. It'll help, like, I don't know, the game will feel easier and more predictable, and you'll start thinking, oh, I can hold this. Nice. That's really cool. And in wrapping up, the biggest thing I can encourage you in Bronze League is please don't get frustrated. If you, like, your goal is to get this army out, to be able to execute the build, push out with that, like, 11-minute army, 4 medevacs. If you can do that, congratulations. That's what you're aiming to do. You don't have to stop all the all-ins. That's impossible. You don't have to win every single game. That's going to be impossible. Your goal is to just start getting comfortable with this macro-style play. And you'll notice, as you get more comfortable with it, you're going to start winning games. And you're also going to start seeing how easy it is to win games with this build. So, I hope you guys enjoy. If you had questions for me, go ahead and ask. The link to my second channel will be down below, where I will be uploading demonstration games every single day for the next few days. I have 5 or 6 demonstration games to show you from Bronze League, and then the Silver video will come out, and we'll look at the Silver level concepts. If you're still struggling with this, please add me on StarCraft 2. My group name is down below in the description, and send me a replay. Other than that, guys, have a great day, and I'll see you next time.